number 2 on our consensus top 5 offensive tackles in this draft, we go to Peter Skoronski, the pride of Maine South in Park Ridge, and a stud left tackle for the Northwestern Wildcats for 3 years. And in terms of tape, man, this is as consistent as it comes. He's 6'4", 315. Of course, the arm length is really the only thing you can complain about with this guy. In terms of being a teammate, the work, there are 0 red flags. The tape is, if we're just looking at this objectively, his tape is as consistent as anybody in this draft. I am saying anybody in this draft. Not just tackles, not just offensive linemen. He is as smooth as it comes, and to come in from high school, start as a true freshman in the Big Ten at left tackle just does not happen. And he did so also in the COVID year when their training camp and everything was weird, and it was start off. Like it was a weird year, and he came in with no problems. So obviously there's the much talked about concerns about his arm length, which is a very real thing. I'm not denying that at all. Certain evaluators in the NFL will say there is a cutoff point. There's never been a left tackle with this short of arms that's had success in the NFL. I get all that, and I can't really argue with it. But I do think when you look at the tape and you see how good he's been, I would at least give him the chance to be the outlier. There certainly are outliers.
I love Peter Skoronski. He again would be a perfect fit in that locker room. There's a versatility to him. Like, you literally could play him anywhere on the offensive line, which is not the goal, again, if you're drafting him at 9. But
here's the thing on that.
Yeah,
and it might not be. And I understand that there's certainly the Bears have a need at tackle, a huge need at tackle, which is a real thing, but you need good players. Like, I keep going back to that. You just need good players. And of all the offensive linemen in this draft, I don't think there's anybody that has a better chance to start week 1 and play well in week 1 than Peter Skoronski does, whether that's a guard or tackle. I think he has the highest floor of any prospect in the entire draft, because I think that high floor is Pro Bowl guard, right? Whereas I think you could make an argument, and I would sit here and certainly understand with the length and the way you build them in a lab, Paris Johnson probably has a higher ceiling maybe. Certainly as a tackle in the NFL. But I don't think there's any question that Skoronski's the worst-case scenario between the two. You would take Skoronski's like, okay, well, the worst thing is we got to move him to guard, and he's going to be great.
I agree with you. Higher floor. That's interesting, though, that you saying that his floor is a Pro Bowl guard. Big time statement right there. I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's
not the only one who thinks that.
Yeah, okay. That's a big statement. The worst case scenario with this dude is that he's a Pro Bowler in the interior. That ain't bad if that's how it turned out for him.
So with all that on the table, I want to ask you, Braggs.
Yeah,
which
Braggs.
one would you rather take the chance on then? If you're not trading back, you have to make the pick at 9. They're both sitting there. Which one would you take?
It's Paris Johnson Jr., without question. I mean, he looks the part. I think both guys have question marks, still have things to get better at, but I'm going to take Paris Johnson Jr. And there's nothing against Peter Skoronski, but it really scares me when I hear guard. I don't want a top 10 player that's a guard. I want a can't-miss player. We talked about this on After Dark. I want guys that I know, not I think. And when we get into this discussion, into the weeds on Peter Skoronski, you have some people like yourself that say, I think he could be a left tackle. And then there's others that say, I think he is a guard.
But I'm also telling you, he is a can't-miss guy on the offensive line.
More
so than Paris Johnson.
But if it ends up being a guard, I'd prefer to find a tackle. How many times are we going to pick in the top 10? Hopefully not many more here in the next 10 years, unless we're finding trades, like we did with the Panthers pick. I don't want our pick being in the top 10 again. So if that's the case, this is our one chance at a top 10 pick. I want guys that I know are elite players. And is he elite? I mean, you're saying wherever he plays, he is. I have my concerns.